The atmosphere on the set of the Kelly Clarkson show that afternoon had started light and easy, with Kelly chatting warmly about Keith Urban's latest tour, swapping friendly jokes about life on the road, and even teasing him about his habit of collecting unusual guitars from every country he visited. But it didn't take long for the tone to shift once the conversation moved toward the subject of industry politics and award show controversies, a topic Keith had been notably careful about in past interviews. Kelly, known for her direct yet affable style, posed a question about rumors of behind-the-scenes disputes at a recent country music event, an event at which Keith had been both a performer and nominee, and while her tone was casual, Keith's expression tightened almost imperceptibly, his eyes narrowing just enough to hint that the question had struck a nerve. He responded with measured words at first, insisting he wasn't here to stir any pots, but Kelly, sensing the audience's interest, gently pressed for more detail, asking whether favoritism and backroom deals still played a role in big industry wins. That was when Keith's demeanor shifted sharply. Leaning forward, he told Kelly, "You have no idea how much harder it gets when people decide your career before you even walk in the room," his voice still calm but now carrying an edge. The studio grew noticeably quieter as the tension thickened, with some audience members glancing at each other while others leaned in, sensing something was about to happen. Kelly tried to ease the moment with a laugh and a comment about keeping it real, but Keith wasn't smiling. Instead, he set down his coffee mug, adjusted his jacket, and said, "I didn't come here to rehash garbage that should have stayed backstage." The audience reacted with a mix of gasps and murmurs, unsure if he was joking until Keith stood up from the couch, gave Kelly a brief but pointed nod, and walked toward the wings. Kelly called after him in a half-playful, half-concerned tone, but Keith didn't turn back, disappearing behind the curtain as the camera awkwardly cut to a wide shot of Kelly sitting alone. The band filled the silence with a few bright chords, trying to keep the energy up. But the moment had already landed, the rare sight of the usually composed Keith Urban breaking the flow of a daytime talk show and exiting mid-segment, leaving the audience and viewers wondering exactly what had been said off-camera to spark such an uncharacteristic storm-off. Backstage after the abrupt walk-off, crew members scrambled to figure out whether Keith Urban intended to return, with some producers rushing toward his dressing room while others whispered urgently into headsets to decide how the rest of the taping would proceed, because the next segment had been planned as a lighthearted game between Keith and Kelly involving rapid-fire personal questions. According to a staffer who later spoke anonymously, Keith had been visibly agitated the moment he stepped behind the curtain, muttering about people poking at things that don't need poking, and removing the in-ear mic before anyone could ask him to keep it on. Meanwhile, Kelly, ever the professional, addressed the audience directly, making a light joke about how we might have scared Keith off, while clearly buying time for the production team to assess the situation. In the green room, Keith reportedly sat with his manager, debating whether to return for a closing segment or simply leave, expressing frustration that interviews kept circling back to industry drama rather than his new album and tour. The tension wasn't just between him and Kelly. Sources claimed that before the show even began, Keith had overheard a pre-interview conversation between a producer and an audience coordinator joking about getting some fire out of Keith today, which may have primed him to react defensively. As the minutes ticked by, producers made repeated attempts to coax him back out, offering to shift the conversation entirely to his music, but Keith allegedly refused, saying, if they wanted the music, they should have started with it. Eventually, it became clear he wasn't going to rejoin the live segment, so the show pivoted to an impromptu performance from Kelly's band while the hosts filled time with banter. When news of the storm-off hit social media, thanks to several audience members tweeting in real time, the incident went viral within hours, with hashtags like #KeithWalksOff and #KellyClash trending worldwide. Opinions split quickly. Some viewers defended Keith, saying celebrities have a right to set boundaries, while others argued that walking off was disrespectful to the host and fans. By the end of the day, clips from the show's live feed had been reposted across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, each dissected frame by fans trying to pinpoint the exact moment his mood shifted. Keith himself remained silent for 24 hours before posting a brief message on Instagram stories, thanking fans for their support and saying only, "Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing at all," leaving the public to speculate further about what exactly had boiled beneath the surface in the tense exchange.